What's up, everyone? Welcome to another GameXplain discussion. We just got back from the Xbox press conference, and I figured we'd talk about it in the GameXplain dungeon, live on site. So the audio quality may be more dungeon-like than usual, so apologies if it doesn't sound great. Anyways, let's just get to our predictions, our thoughts on the Xbox conference. And first off, we gotta talk about the hype moment when Shigeru Miyamoto himself appeared on stage.
Looking good.
Yeah,
It looks
so
great.
youthful.
Right? Like, it looks like it could be an action movie star.
Yeah, he had a certain spring in his step.
He really did, yeah. No, legitimately, when Keanu Reeves came out,
Wow, I did not expect that. Cyberpunk 2077 is a game that I'm really excited for, but the reveal of Keanu being in that game and then him coming out was just awesome. It was such a great moment, and if Ash were here, he'd be raving about it.
The crowd reaction too, like standing ovation. Everyone stood up, started clapping. It was intense.
yeah, people were standing up for most of his appearance on stage, it seemed
Yeah.
like. And what's kind of funny is it really came as a surprise because of the false rumor about Shigeru Miyamoto being there, because apparently, according to the source, the French outlet, I forget what they're called, they mistook Keanu Reeves for Shigeru Miyamoto, so it's an even bigger surprise for that reason.
I mean,
so.
but it's a simple mistake.
It is, it really
They're so similar.
Yeah. So let's get into Cyberpunk, I guess. What did you guys think of how the game itself looked?
You know, I'm still put off a little bit by the fact that it's a first-person game. I really want this to be a third-person action game because in all the trailers, that's what they're showing is third-person action. But then when you get those rare gameplay cuts, it's jarring to see that, oh, it's first-person, it's just kind of another shooty-bang game. I hope that it's better than that, and I'm excited to see it. We will be seeing it here at E3 and playing it. So I'm excited to see a lot more of it, but right now I'm not 100% sold. Keanu does go a long way toward making me want to check it out.
He does, yeah.
The cutscene quality was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The animations in that game are so much higher than most other open world games. We're used to jank from open world adventure games, but this looks smooth. But it's like they're kind of focusing on the story more than the gameplay. And I want to see a bit more gameplay. Because there was a trailer, but it was a bit too jumpy. I didn't really get a good sense of how the game really plays.
I mean, that's something you can say about most of the games we saw at the Xbox conference. I have no idea how they play. And actually, maybe we should take a step back real quick and talk about our overall, what we thought overall of the Xbox conference.
Sure.
John, you seem pretty into it, like definitely the first half.
Oh,
least.
yeah.
So yeah, what did you think overall of it?
So there were some great games in there, but not many new reveals. So Ori looks fantastic. We'll talk about Ori more. Battletoads looks fantastic. Talk about that more. Halo. They're all great games. They're all like known entities. So they look great. I'm excited for them, but nothing really gave me this feeling of like, whoa, like this is a major reveal. Actually, there was one that you were very excited about. And also is a brand new console reveal. That's huge.
That is big.
But they didn't show it.
They didn't. Not even close.
Is it really a reveal if we don't see it, though?
I guess showing Halo, that was running. Well, I assume it was running on Scarlet because it looked great.
See, I have a hard time with that because they said it's in-engine footage, which is never going to be close to gameplay. And on top of that, this is a cross-gen game. They released the Xbox One X box art for Halo Infinite.
Right.
So we don't know what we were watching. We don't know if we were watching Xbox One X footage. We don't know if we were watching development target footage. You know, this could vary wildly from what the final product will look like when we get it, especially when you consider Scarlet. We don't know the specs of Scarlet, really. We don't know much about it. We saw a render of a processor, which harkens back to the Xbox One X reveal.
There's a lot of buzzwords, right? Like 120 FPS, 8K. I think technically an Xbox One game could be 120 FPS if you just like scale the graphics back.
Yeah.
So is that really a brag? I don't know what that means.
120 FPS and 480p.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen this almost as an exact reveal multiple times now, where they come out, throw out a bunch of buzzwords, throw out some numbers, and we don't know anything else about the console itself. Very little about the games, very little about what the specs actually mean in terms of the games. We don't see the console itself. We know more about the PS5 as well. Like we got the relatively in-depth tech breakdown of it, and we didn't get that here.
Well, xCloud though looks very promising, and I love that you don't need a subscription if you have a console.
That's brilliant.
That is a huge bump over Stadia.
Yeah, exactly.
Game Pass was a huge part of this conference. Basically, every major game there was going to be on Game Pass.
Oh yeah, and a ton of them were day one reveals. Right. They did this whole indie trailer where every single game in there was a day one Game Pass release.
And Game Pass Ultimate, so you get Xbox Live with it for like $15 a month. which I think Andre says like cheaper than Netflix.
Yeah, it's cheaper than Netflix. Yeah, and you get and access to a huge library of games. I have to say, like Game Pass for me personally is the thing that excited me most, and I think that's actually what this conference seemed more about, was setting the groundwork for the future. Like they were getting the groundwork out about the next console, Game Pass, xCloud. Those are three major pillars of Xbox's future.
Right.
And so I think that's more what this is about. But they still had a lot of games to complement that as well.
Right, and a new studio. What was it? The Psychonauts developer.
A Double Fine.
Double Fine, yeah, that's a good get.
Absolutely.
That was
Psychonauts
nice.
2 looks fantastic. It's basically confirmed now that is a day one Game Pass release, since it is an Xbox Game Studios game now,
Right.
which is a huge get for them because it has a small but loyal following. I would personally subscribe to Game Pass if I weren't already a subscriber just for that game.
Right. Yeah, I will say they had quite a few reveals. How many times do we see that either world premiere or from Xbox Game Studios logo up on screen?
Yeah.
And every time though, like, so we're a little bit disappointed because every time like, is it Banjo? Is it gonna be Banjo-Kazooie? No Banjo, unfortunately.
No Nintendo. We were all expecting Nintendo to be in this show.
Yeah, I went in expecting to see some kind of Nintendo announcement.
Because there had been rumblings, right? And then once Juke's video, I forget how you pronounce it.
It's your video, I think it's pronounced.
Your video.
Yeah.
When they came with their rumored with the rumor of seeing him there, it's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But I'm not ruling out the idea though of there being some Microsoft synergy here with Nintendo, especially with Microsoft released a schedule of all their upcoming E3 events. They had Nintendo's Direct on there.
Right.
So
writing's on the wall. It's
something's happening, exactly. So I think the event itself was wrong, I think, but in a larger sense, E3 is where we're going to get something about this.
Right.
Yeah, there's bound to be some type of collaboration between Microsoft and Nintendo deeper than what we're already getting with, Xbox Live and certain games on the Switch. There's a reason they want our eyes on the Nintendo Direct.
I mean, especially with how John pointed out a few times during the event, how every time they referred to Game Pass, they always said on consoles, never on Xbox. It was always on consoles as a platform. So that may not be what we get here. I mean, that may not be. We probably won't get anything about Game Pass coming to Switch. Right. But I think moving forward in the future, again, they're setting the groundwork for more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every time that they brought up Game Pass, there was this mantra that they kept repeating of play it on the device you want, where you want, with whoever you want. And every time they said where you want, I kept expecting to see a Switch.
Right.
I kept expecting them to just go on this and give us what we're all hyped for. I mean, the Switch, honestly, it just makes sense to have that service available on that device.
Every time they said play it anywhere, we're all like, guys, this is it. I feel basically plugged a Switch out of his pocket, and didn't happen.
It didn't, unfortunately. So to start to move ahead, let's go over our personal favorite games of the Direct of the Direct of the
We're
press
too set in our ways.
Indeed. We really sorry guys. So I'll start it off, and I might be taking yours, John. So apologies.
That's fine.
I think my game of the event was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That looked mind blowing to me. That looked like a fantastic. I mean, I just need to play it. That looked so fun, so impressive. People were talking about how good Halo looks. Screw that. Ori is where it's at. That looks amazing. And I need to I need to go back and play the first one. I think, but I skipped over it, and
it's one of the best games of the generation.
Well,
no hyperbole.
Damn,
it's so good.
Based on what I saw the second one, I can see why.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a Metroidvania in a sense, but it's just so beautiful all the time, and the music's fantastic too. And Will of the Wisps just looks grander. I think that was the sense of the trailer, just scale. Every enemy was massive, tearing the environments apart. I think it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen.
It is absolutely gorgeous. Right. I was blown away by it. I never played the first one either, and now I feel like I owe it to myself to play that.
Yeah. How about you, John? What was your favorite? If not Ori.
I think it was Ori, but I wouldn't take that answer. So I'll say Halo. Halo Infinite. We didn't see much of it. It was a tease. This is what the next generation is going to look like. And what I liked about it, though, was they sort of captured the feeling of previous Halo games, the initial trilogy. So they had music from Halo 3 and Halo 2 in there, which, that just blew my mind. And Chief's design is back to the original Halo trilogy design.
I do like that.
Yeah, they just said, that Halo 4 and 5 stuff, no, get off the table. Bring back Chief. I think the trailer would have been better, though, if they didn't tell us it was Halo to start with.
Right.
Because I think there's maybe a reveal there where Chief bashes into the ship, but we only know it's Chief. Because they told us, have a look at Halo.
So two things. One, they pulled a total, Infinity War with that, like where they ran into Thor, basically.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Also, maybe it was partially because of Chief's, new old design, or the fact that I'm getting old and my eyes aren't as good anymore, or the fact that I didn't change my contacts that I forgot to take them out last night. But when like everyone's freaking out about the reveal of the windshield, I'm like, what the fuck are we looking at?
Is that Banjo?
I think we just got demonetized. Like what? It's like, what is that? Like I thought it was like some like ship that was broken apart or something, just floating in space. I'm like, oh, it's Master Chief. I see it now. So.
Yeah, that trailer gave me chills. Just watching when he brought him on the ship and he started powering up the suit, and it was such a powerful moment to see him, get up and walk, and just that line at the end where he's like, "We fight," and he just bails out of the ship. It gave me everything I wanted to feel from a Halo reveal.
Halo's back. It feels like Halo's back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Halo 4 was like 2012, right? It's been like 7 years since Halo was amazing. And I feel like this could be the one.
So I'm gonna be the odd one out. I'm gonna say the trailer did nothing for me.
Oh, man.
Except for the music. I like the music and I like the old school Master Chief design. But the rest, like we're following some dude that I don't care about at all. Just a random guy. We saw basically no gameplay. Effectively no gameplay.
Oh, we saw none.
We didn't see a whole lot to me that evoked the ideas of Halo beyond the superficial. That'd be Master Chief and the music.
Sure.
So I need to see more. I'm interested in the direction, but right now, like it is just another story-based trailer, and I don't play Halo for the story.
Right. Well, here's the thing though. It's a 2020 fall Scarlet launch title, so that's a big thing in and of itself. But they're obviously not going to show it all right now because it's a year and a half away.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the direction looks solid so far, and I'm excited to see more from it. But you are right. I mean, we don't really know what this game's going to be. We just know it looks to be something promising.
Which, real quick, I mean, yeah, Scarlet and Halo launching next year. Like in a year and a half, we're going to be playing them.
Yeah.
Presumably. And that's pretty, like, it's weird to think, hey, next gen's around the corner, It's coming.
Right.
It's coming fast.
Right, yeah. It's crazy, It feels like we're still very much in the middle of this current generation, like not at the tail end. And
we're used to those 10-year generations now.
Yeah, exactly. What happened to consoles dying? What happened to everything going mobile?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it makes me think, okay, well, Sony's not here. What is Nintendo going to do?
Right.
They've got to up their game in some way. They've got to make themselves able to get ports from these new machines, and the distance or the technological gap between the Switch and these other competing consoles is growing. That said, the idea that they're focusing more on mechanical changes, removing load times, that kind of stuff, that is truly exciting to me. I'm so sick of loading screens, and I couldn't have agreed more with whoever it was that they had on the stage saying that.
That's great.
You guys were saying we know more about PS5, but I guess that was the focus of PS5 as well. That they showed Spider-Man loading, and it was like 3 seconds on the PS5. And
right.
in the Scarlet video, that was their focus there too. So I kind of think we know the same about both, really.
Yeah, well, they're both based on, just like this generation, they're based on similar architectures. They seem to have similar goals. So it'll really come down to who executes it better, right?
xCloud, though. xCloud, I think, is going to be the big difference between these two.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is something that, frankly, Sony or Nintendo can't do. They just don't have the infrastructure.
Well, Nintendo can do xCloud.
Well, you can play xCloud games, but I can't leave my Switch at home and play my Switch games on my phone.
Right.
But why would I want to? that's the other part.
So, Steve, I think I know what your favorite game of the show is.
I don't think you do.
I'm pretty sure I do.
You lost it.
Yeah. So, Phantasy Star Online 2 was clearly my favorite game of the entire show. Even though it's a 7-year-old game, even though you can play it in America, but you have to patch it, you have to translate it, you have to do all kinds of stuff and jump through hoops, and you could still get banned. And this is a game that is part of my favorite franchise of all time, and it's a direct sequel to probably my favorite game of all time, and it's been in limbo for years. After showing up at PAX Prime, that's how long ago it was, they still called it Prime then, and then Sega just went quiet. So we don't know what happened. It was just languishing. Every writer in the business tried to figure out what's happening with this game, and then Microsoft just shows up and says, "Oh yeah, it's coming out."
This is what happened when it was announced, by the way. Most of the audience was just like, "Oh, nice," and Steve was like, "What?" you were freaking out.
I heard him from I was like 5 seats away from you. I heard it entirely.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can hear me going, "Let's go!" on the Xbox stream. It was definitely. I don't think there will be a moment that tops it this year for me.
Right. There was one other big game I want to talk about as well, is Battletoads. So
yes.
This was announced last year in the most Yeah, the most here's a game that we're making. They didn't show anything at all. This year they showed gameplay, and I want to pass on Derek's message because he wasn't here for this discussion. But Derek just says it kind of looks nasty, and I agree with him. But I think it's meant to look nasty. I think it's meant to look ugly. Like that's what the art style's going for, and I kind of like it. I kind of dig it.
I thought it looked pretty good. Yeah, it actually reminded me a little bit of Cuphead, not obviously in the old school style, but just in the general animation, hand drawn animation seemed maybe running at slightly not quite as smooth frame rate as Cuphead. But I mean, I liked it for that reason. Like, it looked to be kind of like a return to a style that we don't see a whole lot.
I didn't like it.
Really?
Not one bit. I like the original Battletoads, but I just felt like the quality of the animation was poor. And when they did the thing in the trailer where they blew up the sprites really large, I was like, they don't look good. And maybe that is intentional, but it really turns me off. When they were in what I presume to be this new game's version of the Turbo Tunnel, I just thought it looked like a really bad Flash game. Like the way it looked like there was no animation to them as they jumped up and down across the screen.
Here's
that
the thing,
bugged me.
I like the Turbo Tunnel because they've changed the perspectives. Going forwards rather than being on a horizontal plane. Meaning you can anticipate what's coming up.
You can see things, yeah.
But they haven't made it easier. Like you can still see it's much like the same speed, you have the same reaction times. Just you can see what's coming.
Right.
Which I like.
Right. Mechanically, I agree. I feel like there needs to be a lot more polish on that game before anybody plays it.
I actually thought the tunnel part looked. I actually thought it looked pretty cool. Like I liked how it had almost like a live action feel to it with this cartoon overlay. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. And I wasn't a big Battletoads guy originally, so I'm not really a.
You're not invested.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't get games like this very often, though. That genre is very much of its time.
That's true.
And just to have it back is, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's true. Did they give a release date for that one?
I think they did, but I can't remember what it was.
Fair enough. I'll move on to another game that I thought actually looked pretty good, and that was Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order.
It looks better than the movies.
It actually does. You said that. I'm like, yeah, you nailed it. It actually looks really good. It looks like a really fun game. When he's climbing up the AT-AT, I thought that was.
Like Shadow of the Colossus vibes from that.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter describe it as Assassin's Creed, but with Jedis.
We put it that way. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And when I saw the gameplay trailer, I was like, yeah, that fits. It's an apt analogy. And this game wasn't even on my radar until we saw it. And now I kind of want to make our way down to EA Play and see if they'll let us take a look at it.
Do you remember how it was announced?
Amazing.
I think it's E3 last year at EA's conference. They just go into the crowd and they just say, "Oh yeah, we're making a Star Wars game." that was the entire announcement. So yeah, to go from that to this is
it's huge. Yeah. It looks like they're really killing it with this one. I'm very excited.
I even like the little robot droid that they come with.
Yeah. They don't lean too far in the movies as well. Like this is very much their own thing.
Exactly. Yeah, even the AT-AT sequence looked unique. It's something we hadn't quite seen before. So.
Right. But some of the best Star Wars games aren't based on the movies.
Like absolutely.
Shadows of the Empire for the N64 was fantastic.
Rogue Squadron. Those weren't based on the movies, I think, or maybe had elements. But Showleader, even Battle for Naboo. I guess that was based on the first one, but whatever. Point is, yes, you're right.
So if we're talking about other games that look good, I have to mention Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I know you guys aren't huge Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah, we're just saying out this.
Derek and I can talk about this for hours, but it just looks so incredibly good and so faithful to the source material. Like that cel-shaded animation style is so gorgeous, and Bandai has done a really great job lately with taking their anime games and making them more than just licensed tie-ins. Like they are mechanically very good games. So shouting this one out for you, Derek. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to try it.
Andre's just on his phone the entire time.
I know, he's like, let me find another game.
No, I'm not a Dragon Ball fan. It looked like the most Dragon Ball thing I've ever seen in my life. So everyone's just flying around, they're going, Fraser, I'll kill you, yeah. That's all I saw. They're just shouting the entire time.
Well, that's 90% of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I mean...
But yeah, it does look good. I think artistically, it looks amazing. They captured the art style fantastically. I'm not that into it, but I like what I saw.
Yeah.
Well, what did you guys? I don't know if you had the same sense that I did, but I felt like when we got about maybe halfway, whatever point the Gears of War 5 trailer was at, that's the point that felt like it kind of took a nosedive for me in terms of just general hype.
It really sucked the air out of the room, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
People were just watching this. The main character, I can't remember her name, but just her face
That's the
morphing
thing. You
for
can't remember
like
her name. That's the
2
thing.
minutes.
I'm not invested in Gears since Gears 3. Gears 4 didn't do much for me. I can't remember these characters. And the focus of that trailer was the characters, just their facial expressions.
Right,
I'm like, who are you?
I think they went. You could even tell in the crowd that they weren't really energized about this game, and they went so far in on it. They built a set behind the stage with WWE guys playing this thing, and nobody seemed to really care.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Okay, can we move on?" Like it's Gears, and it was kind of funny because they come out and they're like, "Oh, we wanted to prove to you with Gears 4 that you could trust us," and I think everyone was collectively like, "But you didn't." We don't trust you. Gears 4 was not that good.
That's the thing. Like with Halo Infinite, it's a statement. It's like them saying we're kind of reverting back to the original. With
Right.
Gears, it just looks like what they did with Gears 4 so far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a continuation of the same mistakes they've made with Gears 4. So.
I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm saying the trailer was bad.
Yes.
The game itself
Yes.
could be good. I just don't think they sold it that well.
Indeed. Well, a trailer that I thought was good was Blair Witch, actually.
Yeah,
That
it was good.
surprised me. I don't know, was that announced before or was that brand
No,
new?
that was a
that
reveal.
was brand
That
new.
was awesome. Like, especially like when you see when it becomes clear it's Blair Witch before even before the title reveal. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, it all clicks into place. It's like, that makes sense. And they really captured the, I feel like, the feel of the movie. But it's going to be way scarier in, like, this immersive, interactive environment.
Oh, yeah. It was just this terrifying looking game, and I was thinking, like, there's no way I'll ever play this because I'm not good.
Yeah, I
with
don't know if I
scary
can
games.
either.
But it was. So let me ask you this: when did it click for you that it was a Blair Witch?
It became all. I mean, it clicked for me when you see the guy in the corner. So
Yes.
Yeah, right,
yes.
right.
Okay. I was thinking that too, but I was sitting there and I heard people like, "What is this?" And I'm like,
That's
"You don't know? You don't know?"
I love
Like,
that though.
That's an
I love,
iconic scene.
you go half the trailer just not knowing what it is,
Right.
and when it becomes obvious, like, oh god, and yeah, it's a great surprise. One thing I didn't like though, there's a dog in this trailer. That dog gonna die.
Yeah, I forget about that dog. Oh man, spoilers. Any other standout moments for you guys, whether high or low? We can't cover the big stuff.
Yeah,
already.
nothing really stood out to me that much more. Belane wanted to point out the Lego Star Wars. They're doing the entirety of the Skywalker saga. They're calling it.
Right.
Which I mean, it's a good surprise. I'm not sure. I feel like they've done Lego Star Wars to death at
They've
this
done
point.
it quite a few times, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first Lego game, wasn't it? Like the first Lego
Right, I
branded
think so.
game? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I have to give kudos to Microsoft for bucking the trend on two of the things they love to do in their E3 press conferences. First, we didn't see any of those quote-unquote live demos where they have
Right.
people pretending to play a
Yeah.
game magnificently
No
well
voice
on
chat.
stage.
No pretend voice chat.
Yeah, no pretend voice chat, no cheesy, co-op gameplay stuff. And the other one is that, and this one was kind of interesting because I think they tricked a lot of the audience. They revealed a car, and everyone's like, oh god,
Yes.
here goes Microsoft again
Yep.
with a car at E3. And then it turned out it was a Lego car, and everyone thought it was really neat that they did
Yeah,
that.
cool. Something
So
different.
yeah, kudos to Microsoft for actually kind of being cognizant of the things people groan about at their own conference and changing them for the better.
Sure. Here's something we also did like the previous 2 years is treating indie games like on the same caliber as the other games. So there was that game, The 2 Deers. That looks endearing.
Wow,
It does.
how long have you been saying that?
And also there's that game where I can't remember the title of it, but you're building your town up, and it's like super colourful. The art style looks fantastic. That just looked captivating. I can't remember the title, but it looks so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked, and again, sorry that we're not going to remember the names of most
Yeah.
of these small indie games. We'll get to you. The one that looked like it was hand drawn in a notebook.
That was interesting.
That was
I thought that was
Legend-
Dragon Quest to start with.
Legend of something.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It was like.
The music was like almost note for note Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I thought that's what we were getting when
Yeah.
it started to kick in the trailer, and I was like,
Is
is
this
this
like
a Dragon
an
Quest
Xbox
game?
exclusive
Like,
Dragon
yeah.
Quest? But no.
Yeah, what did they do?
Yeah, it does
but
look
it's-
good, though.
Yeah, it looks really good, and just that art style, like, I hate to say it because I say this about so many things, but I'd love to see that on the Switch. It's a perfect fit. But I will take it on Xbox and I will play the heck out of it. I'm really excited to try it out.
Mm-hmm. The pacing was really good. Like game to game, there was no real lull. And,
I agree with that, yeah.
And there's never like back-to-back shooters. They always mixed up the genres, which I appreciate.
Also, no trailers where you see some dude walking, put his hand to his ear, listen to like a radio conversation, and he walks slowly through an environment, just taking it in. None of those, so I appreciate that.
Yeah,
We're
that
forgetting
was nice.
one big game that we have not mentioned: the new From Software game.
Oh wow, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So I want to be excited for this. I really do, because the concept of of what it is there's a ton of potential, but the trailer, I have no impression of what this game
Yeah,
is.
it didn't show us anything.
Right.
I feel, we knew everything going into it.
Yeah, what leaked is exactly what this trailer was.
Pretty much.
Right, and I think that's also part because we are in this cross-generational kind of E3, where a lot of the games that are being announced we know will be on Project Scarlet. So they don't want to show them yet because they're not going to show us the worst version.
Right.
And so I think it's another one of those E3s where we just get as little info as we can get about a lot of games.
The thing is this is made by From Software and GRRM, who of course does Game of Thrones. But I didn't get an indication of like why that makes it special. I don't know what he's bringing to the table.
Right. Yeah, I kind of felt the same thing watching it. I mean, he may. I guess the question is how involved was he in this process?
Right.
So, are they just using him as a brand?
I think they are.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting too. But it's truly the same.
The designs seem distinctly like they did not come from him. I mean,
Right.
you had the woman at the very
That's
beginning with
design.
the half of her face completely hidden by armor, and that's the moment I knew that he had no input on what the characters looked like.
I have no doubt it's going to be good. I'm not hyped.
Yeah, same. I feel like it's hard for me to get hyped for anything where I don't see gameplay. In this day and age, it's so easy to put together an amazing looking trailer and have the final product be nothing like that.
I feel like one possible issue too, and I haven't played actually any really of their games. I've watched like my roommates play them before, but with how intricate George R. R. Martin's stories are, like, is that going to be a problem for what's presumably an open world game?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, here's the thing: is most From Software games have subtle stories.
Okay.
Sekiro kind of bucks that trend a little bit, but it's still pretty subtle. Like the world design tells the story, and I don't know if that's gonna like mesh too well with those ideologies. But I guess we'll see how it pans out.
We'll see. Was it 12 minutes?
Ooh, that was interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah. I can see that going either way for me, but when I saw like made me interested in it. Like I wanted. I mean, plus Majora's Mask.
Yeah. That made a statement immediately.
It did, and it has a unique camera perspective, like how you're doing these 12 minutes from an overhead perspective. I guess it's classic style, but it looked different, looked unique.
Here's the thing as well: that game didn't really show gameplay. Like,
it didn't.
We don't know how
as
it
far
plays.
as we know. Yeah.
We're banging on this From Software game for not really showing us anything, but this game just makes such an impression from the offset.
Right, because we got a really great narrative hook in the trailer,
right.
And so you want to know, why is this guy repeating this day? What happened with this woman? Did she murder her father? Like, why is this guy coming for her if she did? There's so many different things that get you wrapped up in the story almost immediately, and it speaks to just how, like, I want to know the answers to all those right now. So yeah, even though we didn't see necessarily gameplay, we saw enough to get me deeply interested.
Sure.
Indeed.
How do you guys feel about Ninja Theory's new game? Because obviously Microsoft bought them last year, and they've revealed their new project, which was in the works before the acquisition. It's like a melee-heavy, competitive 4-on-4 multiplayer game. I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
It looks like there's some great weight to the melee attacks. Like, you can feel the feedback, and the character designs look really cool too. But did you guys get much of an impression on it?
I was almost excited. I like the idea of an Overwatch-like game that doesn't have shooter elements to it. So I was more interested in, but then at the very end, you see someone whip out a Gatling gun, and I was like, well, that's it. I'm no longer interested.
Yeah, I felt that too. Like the entire trailer, then they have all these melee weapons, and all of a sudden, just mixes the message a bit.
They're like 4-on-4 melee with guns.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Overwatch. It's Overwatch with weirder looking characters.
Sure.
So I hope that the Gatling gun is a one-off, but it's also a genre that I'm not very invested in, so I'm not sure that I'm going to pay attention to it until it releases. It had that one thing that was enough to turn me off, and I'm not sure that I'll be back.
No, I am excited for the future of Xbox Game Studios, though, because they have so many studios under their hood now. And I guess we're going to see that come to fruition over the course of Scarlet's generation. But yeah, just seeing that they're coming to fruition now with this game, it's exciting. I think the future's going to be really bright for Xbox.
I think so. Again, I think this is largely about setting the groundwork for the future.
Yeah.
So we are in that transitional period now. It may not fully seem like it, but we are getting there. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, like the consensus is usually like with PlayStation, Xbox, is PlayStation has all the IPs. And I think we're seeing that kind of shift now. I think Xbox is just getting a much more appealing portfolio.
They've been buying a lot.
They've been buying their way in. But
they're spending their money to get where they want to be.
Right.
And I think it's a smart move, because this is the first time I've come out of one of their conferences legitimately excited for what the next year holds for them.
Banjo-Kazooie, maybe?
Maybe.
Never.
I mean, what they're doing with their rare IPs is exciting though. Like Battletoads is back, Killer Instinct is back.
Right.
I mean, Banjo doesn't have to be rare.
It doesn't have to be, yeah. So they have Banjo they could get to, they have Perfect Dark they could revisit. So definitely a lot of potential here in the future for Xbox. And it's definitely looking the best I think it has in quite some time. Even if this conference didn't hit it out of the park for me, like I think they're setting it up for where they could in the future.
Right, and it's better than the Sony show.
Yeah, that's true. That helps. Yeah.
Yeah, Sony's show was just so empty this year.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really felt like I just wasted my time with it. So, guys, any final thoughts at all about the Xbox conference you want to get out there before we wrap it up?
Thank you for bringing PSO2 to the West. I love you.
Nice.
Halo is back, baby.
Yep. And I'm just excited for Ori and what the Wisps something.
Ori and the
Well, the exciting thing is Ori could come to Switch. Like Cuphead came to Switch a couple of months ago. Ori is a prime candidate.
It does seem like the next one in line.
Right.
So maybe that's what we'll find out at Nintendo's event.
I guess so.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yep, indeed. All right, guys, with that, I think we're about done here. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked this discussion, make sure to click that subscribe button and click that bell as well to get notifications on all our upcoming videos, including our Nintendo impressions, which includes the Direct itself, every game from the show floor, tons of gameplay of all that, and other features, I'm sure. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye.